Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another exciting awards show audit.
Hey guys, PIEGUYRULZ here as well.
Yeah,
Yes, fun show
as
this week.
for sure. And as always, let me know about the audio. If one of us is too quiet, we'll get it out of the way now. But
hmm
otherwise, yeah, we are ready to get into this. This is going to be a good one, I can tell.
Yeah, I hope you guys are excited on this wonderful Tuesday night. We'll just give everyone a minute to funnel in, and then we'll get started. Yeah.
Heck yeah.
Hello everyone. Hello,
Hello there.
General Kenobi.
Yay, he did the thing. That means you're a
Yeah.
Star Wars fan now.
No.
Yeah.
No.
Hey everyone. Hey Tunjay. Hi Philip. Hey Davis. Hi Blythe. How are you all doing?
Spider-Man trailer.
Spider-Man.
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh. Time for me to leave. I don't want to see it.
Hmm.
I've officially decided. I already went into my Twitter. I've muted every possible combination of spider and man that I can. I don't want to know. I'm just gonna go in blind.
Okay. Fun fact, there's at least one Spider-Man in the film.
Wow.
Spoilers.
I thought it was all about Hawkeye.
Doctor Strange. Thought it was just Doctor Strange.
Yeah, and it's just him eating a bowl of cereal and going to the store and yeah,
Huh.
day in the life.
Thank you for the super chats. Redway 2, I'm not gonna read that, but thank you. Tim Whitfield, thoughts on Rugrats All Grown Up? I think we talked about it a few weeks ago. I haven't seen it in ages, but I thought it was a really great special. Much better than the show.
Yeah, yeah. I think we talked about it last week actually, because that I think it premiered within the last year's time frame.
It's all good.
But yeah,
New Home Alone is out. I heard it was awful.
yeah. I have no interest in that
I
either.
saw a review of it.
Yeah,
Uh,
I can't imagine a Home Alone movie being good anymore. Never say never. It's possible, but I really don't have any expectations for anything like that. So,
mm.
but
All right. So we are in the year 2001. I can't think of any major world events that happened this year. So let's talk about movies.
yeah, let's do it. All right,
All right,
I'm gonna
Shadow.
go out on a limb here and guess Fellowship of the Ring.
At what number out of 10?
Well, the last two films were no. Oh no, nope. 2001. Nope. Number one's Titanic. Right? That was 2001, right?
No and no.
Oh, is that 2000? Oh no, that was
This is the
99.
90s, dude. What are
Yeah,
you talking about,
dude.
man?
Listen, the early 2000s, late 90s, it's all the same thing.
No, don't tell. Listen, don't tell them that. The 2000s kids will think that they're 90s kids. They're not as cool as us.
Yeah, I always remember Titanic was the same year as Phantom Menace,
It's a joke.
so I should have known that.
Okay. So number one, Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone.
Oh, ew, disgusting.
Okay. At 974 million worldwide gross. Number two is Lord of the Rings. Number three. All right. There's two animated films.
Monsters,
Shadow
Inc.
3 and 4.
Shrek.
Okay, that's 3 and 4. Good job.
Yeah.
Ocean's 11 at number 5. Pearl
Ooh.
Harbor at number 6. The Mummy
Ooh.
Returns at 7. Jurassic Park 3 at 8.
Mm-hmm.
Planet of the Apes at 9 and Hannibal at 10. A lot of franchises that are still relevant. And you know what else came out? The Fast and the Furious 1.
Ooh, yeah, the film that started that whole thing.
Yeah. It's one of the highest grossing franchises in film history, but the first film did not come in the top 10 that year.
Yeah, it's also the first. You know, they got to build momentum, so I understand that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's how speed works. You gotta go. You
You
gotta start
gotta
slower and then you go
and then
faster.
build up. Yeah, accelerate.
Yeah.
And then once you get
Okay.
momentum, you just keep building it, and that's why the films come out like every 2 years now.
Yeah. All right. So, Mr. Streak.
Yes.
Actually, before we talk about the nominees, I guess we should talk about our plan for next week.
Okay. Yeah, we can get that out of the way now.
All right. So, 2001 only had 1 hour-long category entry. Surprise of all surprises, the CGI dinosaur thing. Documentary. So instead of just including it this week or including it like just doing one, just that next week we are going to be doing that special. It's Walking with Dinosaurs Allosaurus. And we are going to be covering the 2000 long form animation entries, which is the original Walking with Dinosaurs
Yep.
and all of the other reindeer. And so next week, we are going to completely finish the documentaries. We will not have to talk about another documentary on this show ever again. There are still a few more hour or more entries in a few other years, like I think 99, 97, and 92.
Something like
I think.
that.
None of the rest of them are documentaries. They're all just like actual things to talk about. So next week we're gonna walk with dinosaurs for the very last time.
Yeah, and then never again.
Never again.
But yeah, so next week's show will be a transitional one. We're covering 2 years at once, but we figured it's better to do it this way, just to knock it out. So yeah. And we'll announce them again at the end of the show like we normally do anyways, so just as a reminder. But yeah, all right, we can go ahead and get into this week's half-hour category for 2001. 5 nominees as per usual. Let's see. So, all right, first up, we have a returning nominee with As Told by Ginger with the episode Hello Stranger. We've also got King of the Hill with the episode Chasing Bobby. Futurama was nominated once again with Amazon Women in the Mood. We have the Powerpuff Girls with Moral Decay and Meet the Beatles. And last but not least, we have, say it with me, everyone, The Simpsons with the episode Homer. But it's spelled H-O-M-R in all caps. So, yeah.
It's the crayon episode.
Yep. So there are your 5 nominations for this week.
Yes. All right, what are we starting with, Shadow?
All right, well, I figure we'll just go in the order I just read them off in. So let's go ahead and start with As Told by Ginger with the episode Hello Stranger.
Okay, so this was the first time that Ginger was nominated. And the last time we'll be talking about it.
Yep.
This category, anyway. With As Told by Ginger, it's been kind of a crapshoot as to whether it's like really good or really bad. You know, like we had a really good one and a really bad one. So I didn't really know what to expect going to this one. But the episode is about, the main plot is Ginger receives a card from her absent father. A card from her absent father. That says, like, you know, hey, happy graduation. I want to spend more time with you, blah, blah, blah. So Ginger decides to invite him to her poetry reading event thing and hopes that he'll come, and basically writes a poem about him and how he's not in her life. And then he ends up being a no-show. The subplot is Ginger's mom drinks snake eggs and thinks she might be pregnant with a snake. And Carl gets bit by a monkey and thinks he's turning into a monkey.
Yep.
So, just a little different tonally between the two.
Mm-hmm.
I actually remembered this episode, mostly because the Carl and Ginger's mom storyline, like, mildly traumatized me. It's just, I don't know why, as a kid it freaked me out. Just like the idea that she could drink snake eggs and become pregnant with snakes. That was horrifying to me as a kid. It's really not that bad, but it was horrifying to me as a kid. But yeah, no, the main storyline about the fact that she has a dad that she doesn't really see that often. It's another one of those things that's kind of bold for a kid's show to tackle, especially in, like, what, 2000, 2001?
Mm-hmm.
It's the sort of thing that's not really covered in children's animation. It's like an absentee dad is not really like a family-friendly concept.
Yeah.
You know, really, like, you'll see a lot of jokes about that on, like, The Simpsons or whatever, but in terms of kid shows, the idea that Ginger has a dad that's, they don't really go into it in this episode, but he's just not around that much. And even when he sends the card, he's late on the graduation. Like, he's late by, like, months, you know? Like, so he put some effort, but, like, clearly not that much effort. And the fact that he doesn't show up at the end is, I think, a really good bold choice, because that's the unfortunate reality for a lot of kids, is that sometimes their parent doesn't come around and isn't responsible, doesn't care about them enough to make the time, and that's sad and awful. But yeah, I think the episode does it well, and the episode's also not like a downer, because it ends with her mom getting flowers, saying they're from her dad, and kind of like just a nice gesture to Ginger that she has a parent that loves and cares about her, and that's
Yeah.
that's really all that matters.
Yeah. I definitely respect this episode a lot for not taking the kind of like optimistic outcome of the dad actually showing up and it being a happy ending. I like the more like realism to it. I think
Yeah.
it gives it a lot of ground to stand on. This episode was quite a surprise to me just for that concept alone. I really did not expect it to come
Yeah.
out here and throw something like that. Like, it didn't pull any punches either. It doesn't sugarcoat it or anything, and I really like the episode made me feel for Ginger. Like, she's so bent on her dad just like coming through for once and being there for her. And, everyone else is like, whether it's her friend or her mom, they're consoling her, and they're definitely like, they want her to be happy, and they want him to show up for her, but they're also trying to just brace her for the unfortunate reality and the more likely outcome.
Yeah. It's also interesting that in this episode we don't see her dad or like anything. Like
Yeah.
she reads the card and then she leaves him a message, like a phone message, but we don't hear from him. He does show up in another episode, at least one other episode. I had reviewed it on this channel years ago, and it maintains a similar tone. They don't magically make him be a great father. If I recall correctly, I think he gets like Carl a gift of like a box of nuts that he's allergic to. Like it's
Mm.
sad. It's funny and sad. Um,
Hmm.
yeah. Oh yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, like children of divorce that's not that uncommon of a topic for
Hmm.
TV shows, for kids shows, but just like children of divorce where one parent he's a deadbeat dad. Like that's what he is. He might not be like a really really like mean or violent or like really like awful dad or whatever, but he's a deadbeat. He promises to be there for her and he's not.
Yeah,
Like,
he never follows through.
and again, I don't even really remember what his excuse is, but in this episode we don't really get one.
Hmm.
Um, if I recall correctly.
Yeah, no, we
Uh,
don't.
an, uh, Another thing I like is that Ginger's mom also doesn't badmouth him in any way.
Yeah.
Basically, she just kind of says like, "Well, you kids are old enough to figure out if you want a relationship with him, or like, how much you want him in your life." And then the fact that she sends the flowers at the end shows that she knows he's not coming.
Yeah.
Like,
But the other thing, I don't know if you caught it, is that Ginger thanks her mom for the flowers. That's like her last
yes,
line. Like, she realizes that her dad didn't even send them. But it's also kind of
right,
her revelation moment of, you know what? I have a great mom, and I'm so thankful for that.
yeah.
I really, really loved the way it ended. That was a great note to end on. I will say, I really could not care less about Carl at all in this episode and that whole monkey thing. I had
Yeah,
no
that was
investment, no interest. I was just waiting for the next Ginger scene. By the halfway
yeah,
point, I don't know. I felt
yeah.
it. I felt it added nothing to this story. I mean, I get that, it's there to
It's
balance
a
things out.
juxtaposition. Yeah,
Exactly. It gives us breathing room in between every emotional Ginger scene, but it's not like it was the other episode we talked about where there was some parallels going on that you could still like read between the lines. Like, I
yeah.
just felt like it was completely unrelated. I don't know. I wasn't a fan of that. But Ginger's story, the A plot, if you will, was fantastic, in my opinion.
Yeah. I don't think this episode overall is as good as what was it? And then she was gone, or
Yeah, that's
whatever
what
it
it
was
was called.
called. Um, I don't think this one is as consistently good as that one. I think that one's really interesting, but I think this one is similar. That if you want a kid show that is going to kind of not sugarcoat some things, but still feel like tonally right for kids. I mean, this doesn't seem too dark or sad or anything. It just kind of feels like real life for some people, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. Um,
Yeah,
I
absolutely.
don't know. I don't know too much else to say. As an adult, yeah, Carl and Ginger's mom's subplot. It's like not really. I don't know. The Carl part is just kind of dumb because he gets bit by a monkey, and the episode kind of wants you to believe that maybe he is actually turning into a monkey, but like he's not. He's just a jerk. Like he's just the kind of kid who would pretend to be a monkey for attention.
Yeah.
I don't know. And it's also ludicrous because he gets bitten by a monkey at school. Like they let one of his classmates bring a monkey in, and then Carl antagonizes the monkey. Like the monkey
Yeah,
is
he's
peaceful and
asking
fine.
for it.
Yeah, he does. Carl deserved it.
Hashtag
uh,
Carl deserved it. Get it trending.
yeah. Uh, um, how does it compare to Hey Arnold? Honestly, I'd say similar tonally, like something like the Christmas episode of Hey Arnold. Um, I'd say it's kind of similar, where it's no, it still ends on a positive, right? Like all of these Ginger episodes
Yeah.
ended on a positive. None of them ended on like a downer ending, but they're still also more real than a lot of other cartoons. You know, they
Hmm.
are trying to present a reality for children. That's cool.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
It's got guts. I definitely respect it for that. It's definitely an episode I remember. That's for sure.
and once again, poetry plays a big part in it, and Ginger's poem itself is about how she feels her dad is a stranger.
Hmm.
And it's not it's written pretty well, I'd say. Like it didn't feel like, where are you, dad? I am sad that you are not in my life. It's like it's written hello stranger because it's her dad is a stranger to her.
Yeah.
What if he showed up for that though? That'd be a little awkward.
Well, the ending is a line about how she finally sees his face and it cuts to an empty
Right.
chair. So, I mean, I feel like
Yeah.
then the original intent of the poem would have gotten across. But
Right. Yeah. um but yeah, I really don't know what to make of this show as a whole. It's very, I don't want to say unbalanced, but it does seem to be very weird in that it's trying to do two different things. And I do remember as a kid, I did gravitate more towards the Carl stuff, but now as an adult, I'm like, this is kind of dumb.
yeah.
Like you have one storyline that's trying to really like be real and do something, and another storyline that just kind of feels dumb. And
Hmm.
I'm not against having a sillier storyline to balance out the serious drama. Like I think that's a smart choice. I just don't think a storyline about Carl getting bit by a monkey is anything.
Yeah.
And it eats up more of the episode, I think, than the other one we talked about with Ginger and Depression, where it feels like Carl and Hoodsey in that episode, it's not like as present. You know what I mean? Like it's not
Hmm.
fighting for the main story. Whereas this one, if Carl was actually turning into a monkey, I feel like that's a big enough plot thing that it kind of takes away from what Ginger's doing.
Right.
Like it feels like it's kind of hogging for screen time, especially because he's turning into a monkey. Lois thinks she's pregnant with a snake. Like there's just a lot going on. I think it's more distracting than complimentary,
Hmm.
personally.
Agreed. 100%.
How old is Ginger supposed to be? I believe she's
She's
in middle school.
yeah, she's in 7th grade.
Yeah. She's seventh grade years old.
Yep. So probably like 13, 12, 14, somewhere in there.
Yeah, probably younger than 14. But
Yeah,
yeah.
unless she got held back a year or
Mm.
something. We don't know. Maybe there's an episode about that. I
Yeah.
don't know. But
MJ
yeah.
says she starts off at 12 and turns 14 by the end of season 3.
Okay, so there you go.
Interesting. Okay. All right. So yeah.
All right.
But since this is really the last we'll say on As Told by Ginger, I don't. I mean, I kind of recommend it at least in like a check it out sort of way because it definitely feels like it's going for something. And if you do like Hey Arnold, I think the show is in some ways similar. Not in a lot of ways, but just in like if you want a Nicktoon that does have more serious storylines, this is one of them.
Mhm. Yeah, it's kind of a mixed bag, at least from the 3 episodes we've seen. So I can't, I haven't seen any more of the show than that, so I don't know. as far as the whole entire experience. But yeah, this is probably something that I'd recommend checking out because I'm sure there's other gems in here that we haven't even seen.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, if this is the peak of the show, who knows? It could all be downhill, or it could also be like this. But any show that kind of turns out episodes that at least try to touch on these more serious issues, I think is worth some examination at least.
Mm-hmm. Agreed. 100%.
And it's on what is it?
Paramount Plus.
Paramount Plus, yes. So it is fully available. I know for a while I don't think it was on any streaming service. So, all right. What do we got next?
All right, so second up, we have King of the Hill with the episode Chasing Bobby.
Okay, so in this episode, Hank sees a romantic comedy, it looks like, or some sort of sentimental film in which, what's the deal with it? It's like a guy is being pinned under a truck and dying, and he can't or he tells his son he loves him or something.
Yeah.
Hank sees some emotional schmaltzy scene and cries. And of course, this is like big news because it's Hank Hill, repressed guy who doesn't cry or show any non-manly emotion.
Mm-hmm.
So Hank cries and Peggy tries to figure out if it's because of his relationship with Bobby or his dad or what's going on. And it turns out that Hank got really emotional at the scene because his truck is dying. His poor truck that he's had for 20 years is dying, and nowhere he takes it to can fix it. He can't fix it himself, and he's just so sad to lose this truck.
It is truly a tragedy of the ages.
Yes.
This is Shakespearean tragedy right here.
Meanwhile, Bobby sees that there's like a truck fixer place a long ways away, and they drive the truck together to the place, but it turns out it's just a place to buy new trucks. It's just the salesman there will just convince you your truck is a piece of junk to buy a new one. Hank is resistant to it. Bobby runs away, and then Hank tries out a new truck to find Bobby, and he loves it.
Yep.
That's the episode.
Yeah.
I thought this was great.
I thought this was hysterical.
Really good. Yeah. I said it a few weeks ago, but like, King of the Hill is one of those shows that I feel like has aged pretty well just because the way Hank acts, like Dale openly mocks Hank for crying in this episode, but it's like such a parody that you can't, it's like, I can't take that value seriously. It's not like a show that unironically is trying to say men shouldn't cry. It's a show that is like, well, they're from Texas and they do things this way, and so of course it's, how could Hank cry? Like, what a baby. Like, it's just so over the top, and it's so like, it's so ridiculous that he's crying for the truck. Like, and I mean, the episode also does go to show that like he got the truck when like him and Peggy were younger, and like with a lot of things on King of the Hill, Hank probably is also a little bit sad at not being able to express himself to his son, like, and to his dad, which is hilarious that Peggy mentions that. One of Peggy's suggestions is like, oh, you're crying because you're afraid that your father will die without ever being able to tell you how he feels or whatever. Which is exactly what happens in the other Emmy-nominated episode.
That's right.
Cotton dies being awful to Hank.
And then he gets a second chance, and then he dies being awful again.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, but this is just I don't know. It's funny. It's got good animation. It's I don't know. I don't know that it's like not really that deep of an episode, and I would say it's on the borderline of being justified for being nominated. I don't think this episode does anything particularly like exemplary. Like there's nothing too special. The animation's good. It's good animation on a bunch of cars, like, which is not the easiest thing, but yeah. I don't know. It also does have a train crashing into Hank's old truck.
That's what I was going to bring up. I thought that was definitely the standout animation moment for the episode, for sure.
Yeah.
And the whole build-up and setup for that moment, too, is just priceless.
You prefer the animation to Bobby Goes Nuts? Yeah, I mean, I'd say this one's a little bit better. Again, I wasn't as down on goes nuts is I think it was you, Pinata time, but no, I thought this looked really good. This is if I had a complete preference, this is how I imagine King of the Hill in my head, not the digital ink this way. But yeah, and it's another episode where Hank and Bobby get to bond over something, even if Hank is emotionally constipated. Him and his son do get to, like, you see that he cares about his son because he goes out to look for him because Bobby basically just runs away.
Yeah.
It's funny too because chasing Bobby doesn't. That's like the third act, but otherwise you're like, why is this called this?
Mm-hmm.
Does Hank get a new truck after this episode? I don't know. We only watched this one.
Yeah, I don't know if that's
idea.
a consistent
That's a good
thing,
question.
but
I hope
could
so,
be.
but I don't know. With this, like, I don't know. With this, it's like a toss up. It could be like there's definitely continuity things in King of the Hill, but I don't know that they're that good about continuity.
Yeah.
We'll see. Someone in the chat will probably say it.
Mm-hmm. It'd be cool if it was a continuity thing though that they kept going for the rest of the show, but I wouldn't know, that's for sure.
I don't know that there's like all that much to talk about. Like, I don't know. It's just solid.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I'm kind of in agreement with you where this is kind of like on the borderline of being award worthy because I don't know how much this is really doing to earn that status. But like it's a good episode of the cartoon. Like I enjoyed it greatly and I'd happily watch it again. It made me laugh quite a number of times. So in the comedy department, it's got that going for it for sure.
Yeah, well, I love it because it's Hank's tearing up in the movie theater and like Hale starts screaming at the top of his lungs like, Hank's crying, everybody! And it's like, everyone turns to look. It's like, wow, they care about that more than the movie, clearly.
Yeah.
Oh, man. It felt almost like an advertisement for a truck that doesn't exist, though. All right, I really don't have anything else, to be honest. I mean, don't take that as a sign that I didn't like this episode. It's just good. Like, I don't know that there's really anything to dissect further.
Yeah, it's not like this is a big like in-depth character analysis or anything like that. I'm just in agreement. I really enjoyed it. I'd happily watch it again. It's funny and yeah.
Okay, next up.
All right, so next up we've got the Futurama episode, Amazon Women in the Mood.
Oh boy.
This reminded me of that Rick and Morty episode. But
what did
I know
tell
that
you?
this
Rick
one
and
did it
Morty is
first.
just Futurama recycled.
Yeah, holy
No,
cow. I had no idea, but this was eye-opening because I was like, oh my gosh. It's not exactly the same, but it's a similar concept.
To be fair, the idea of like a planet of like Amazonian women, or not even a planet, but just a society of like
that's
large, strong women, that tackles gender roles and all that. Like that's a sci-fi concept.
I mean,
that's
just look
like
at Wonder Woman too, you know?
Right. It's a stock sci-fi concept. Anyway, so this episode is about Kif wanting to date Amy but being too shy to do it. So Zap sets up a double date with them and Leela. Zap then crashes the restaurant that they're on this planet, and Fry and Bender have to go rescue them. And the planet has a bunch of these Amazonian women who don't like men being on their planet, and they sentence them to death by Snoo Snoo. And then Bender saves the day by, I don't know. This episode. I feel like for a while this was like a fan favorite Futurama episode, but I'm going to be honest, I don't really get it. Like, there are definitely things about this episode that I don't think have aged well. Particularly the trope death by Snoo Snoo, which is on the one hand kind of funny, on the other hand very non-consensual and very like not okay.
Mm-hmm.
It's I don't know, it skirts the line because for Zap and Fry at least, they kind of go back and forth on wanting this and not wanting this. Like I don't know. I don't think the episode really thinks about it too much, but it's a little upsetting, I would say.
Yeah. No, I'm in agreement there. I'm glad that I didn't want to come out here and suddenly talk trash about an episode that I guess was super
People
good.
do
'Cause
like it. I mean, I'm not, but yeah, that's just my feelings on it.
I really didn't like this either. I wasn't a fan of those tropes, and I feel that it didn't age well either.
And I mean, on top of all of it, so much of like the men versus women thing, like it's just, I don't know. So many shows do this, and it's just it never seems to be any actual interesting or good statements on men versus women. So much of the time, it really is just like, I don't know, like let's turn the male characters into just raging sexists. Let's have it be as blatant and over the top as possible,
Yeah.
and then let's have it be just, a bunch of tired stereotypes and trends and things, and it just, I don't know, it just eh.
Ugh is right. Yeah. No, I really wasn't feeling this one. I didn't enjoy. I don't know. I didn't really enjoy any of the characters. I mean,
I
I
don't like Zap
guess.
Brannigan. I think this is
Yeah.
your first Zap Brannigan episode, right?
Yeah, I don't recognize
He's
him, so I hated
uh
him.
yeah, him and Kif are the next main characters outside of the Planet Express crew. Like within the show, it's basically the Planet Express crew and then Zap and Kif. Like if there's a big movie or episode or whatever, they're gonna be in it too. And Kif's fine, but Zap, the whole joke with him, he's Gaston, right? Like the
Mm-hmm.
joke with him is that he is just this brutish, buffoon, sexist, pickup artist, thinks he's all that. Like that's his character. The joke is supposed to be that he's not. It's not like the show wants you to believe that like this is a cool guy. But even still, and maybe it's just because we live in 2021 and I'm so sick of dealing with these people unironically.
Yeah.
But just like I just don't find him funny. I don't like it. Like I don't even like making fun of him. He's just annoying. Like it's like Trump parodies. It's like I don't even want to see it anymore. Like uh
Yeah, it's nothing short of obnoxious, honestly. I agree. The annoyance is huge. I didn't find a single line that he had to say really amusing or funny in any sense of the word, and I basically loathed him by like the halfway point. I was so done with his
yeah.
garbage.
Because he's like that in every single episode. There's a pretty bad one, right at the start of the Comedy Central run, where he lies to Leela about them being alone on a planet. They crash and he lies and he's like, "Oh well, I guess we have to, date each other and repopulate this planet." It's coercive and creepy.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah,
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm trying to think. I like Zoidberg's subplot, but it's not really much of a story. It's mostly just jokes about him molting.
Yeah, right.
The animation on him being really squiggly was funny.
Yeah. I'm trying to think. I don't know. I mean, I guess. Well, I don't know.
I don't know. I mean, it's still Futurama, so like,
I guess
yeah, I don't know.
part of it
Why
might
was this?
just be that I've seen so many fantastic episodes that my standards might be too high. I don't know. Like, is the show normally as good as most of the other nominees, or were those like the
No.
best of? Okay.
Futurama's a very uneven show.
Okay.
A lot of people kind of overinflate how good it is because when it's on, when you have episodes like Jurassic Park and the late Philip J. Fry and
The Sting.
Roswell that ends well, like when you have these episodes, yeah, The Sting, those are such great episodes. They're some of my favorite episodes of TV, period. But not every episode is like that.
Yeah,
so,
that's what I figured.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, that's probably part of it is I'm just so used to such phenomenal writing
Yeah.
that, my expectations might be too high, which,
Right.
But-
No, but I can completely see it because coming off of what Roswell was the last one we saw, like
yeah.
and the Luck of the Friarish is apparently from this season according to Toon J, which is another that's a really great episode. So it's very similar to Jurassic Park, but it's about Fry's brother.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not. I know a lot of people like this episode. I'm not trying to hate on it, but it just has some unfortunate things. And even besides that, just the whole men versus women trope. It just, I don't know. If you don't have anything interesting to say, then just stop. Because this show also does it again like 3 more times. There's an episode where like an alien reverses their genders, and it's all just a bunch of jokes about like men are men like to burp and women like to pick up things, and it's just like, I don't know. Can't we move past it?
That. Yeah.
Like, I don't know. Maybe it's just me. But I mean, I feel similarly about that Rick and Morty episode that you say this one reminds you of.
Yeah, that's one of the worst episodes of that season for sure. I don't know. I just feel like if there's nothing like prominent to say, it's like, what's even the point?
Yeah, like that's kind of the deal here. Like, what is this episode saying about gender? Not really much of anything, other than making fun of women's basketball.
Yeah, like it's mostly just stereotypes.
Yep.
I don't know.
So,
I was not impressed. I wish that a better episode would have been nominated than this one. It was disappointing.
Yeah.
I would not. Okay. I would not consider this award worthy at all.
Yeah, no, definitely not. And I mean, like, even if I liked this episode, I would not understand what makes this episode award worthy. Like, yeah. I don't get it. I really don't.
Yeah, me neither.
But Big Woman? That doesn't make an episode good.
No.
Go watch Steven Universe.
Yeah, there you go. That did it better.
Yeah, if you like your giant women, then go watch Steven Universe.
Yeah.
All right. What we got next?
Oh boy. Alrighty, so next up we have the Powerpuff Girls, Moral Decay, and Meet the Beatles. Oh boy.
All right. So Moral Decay is an episode in which Buttercup gets a taste for money. She becomes incredibly greedy.
Greed is good.
And realizes that if you put teeth under your pillow, you get even more money. So she takes advantage of the fact that she fights crime by intentionally knocking out the teeth of a bunch of criminals and putting them under her pillow. And going like really overboard with it until all the villains team up and teach her a lesson. And then she's got to go to the dentist.
Yeah. A lot of people hate this episode. I disagree. I think this episode's fun. I enjoy it quite a lot. What did you think, Pi? I really want to hear your thoughts on this one. I've been waiting for this moment. All day I've been like, what's Pi going to say about Moral Decay? I want to know.
Got such a great title. No,
it does.
I thought this episode, I would rank this in maybe like the mid tier of the Powerpuff Girls. Like, I don't know that the story is great. I mean, aside from the fact that it does kind of push the limits on what we're okay with Buttercup doing. It is also just not a very interesting story. Like, it's mostly montage. But still, it's early Powerpuff Girls. It still has a lot of really great animation and greatly posed shots, and you were pointing out there's a lot of GIF-worthy moments in this episode. Buttercup's greed is as funny as Mr. Krabs' greed in the Clams episode. I don't know. I would rank it above most season 5 and 6 episodes, but I wouldn't say it's like up there. You know what? I don't know. I thought it was fine. Like, fine.
Yeah, I put this episode in like the upper mid tier for me. I think it's got a lot of cool I'm also a Buttercup fan, so like I'm a little biased towards Buttercup, but no, I mean, I really enjoy. I like the setup. I love the way it begins with Buttercup just having like nothing to do with cleaning, and then as soon as she gets her like reward, she's like, "Oh my gosh, Money's the best thing ever!" And she just goes on this huge like really fast monologue, just spieling about how much she loves money. She's gonna save up for this boxing glove, I think it was, and like all this stuff. And then she, I like how that's kind of the setup for money, and that it kind of integrates into the Tooth Fairy plot.
I
The
would say I guess I would also say personally, if I had to pick a better Powerpuff Girls Get Addicted to Something episode, the one
Candy
with the
is Dandy.
candy is
Yeah.
dandy. Yeah, that I think it's a better episode.
Yeah. Yeah, the addiction parallels with this one. You have to read between the lines a little bit more with this one. It's not as like straightforward as Candy is Dandy, but it's definitely still there. It's
Also,
definitely
not as
still there.
straightforward as Mojo Jonesin.
Also true. Don't do drugs, kids. But yeah, no, I enjoy the montage of Buttercup trying to knock Bubbles' teeth out. Some people are like, that's mean spirited. I think it's all in good fun. I mean, plenty of siblings beat each other up when they're kids. That's just siblings being siblings. Like, if roughhousing, it totally happens.
You have anything you want to admit, Shadow?
No, I don't have anything to admit, but
Did you beat the teeth out of any of your siblings?
No, but you also have to understand that this is a cartoon.
I don't have to understand anything.
It's a
I'm
cartoon
an only child.
where they're allowed to have hyperbole and they're allowed to exaggerate things for comedic effect and illustrate points that otherwise could not occur in real life.
Jeez, who do you think you're talking to?
I'm sorry.
I understand what a cartoon is. I'm not against you on this, man. I
know, but I'm also not talking to you. I'm talking to the haters. Cause man, dude. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm trying not to just be super defensive or anything, but I've heard so many criticisms about this episode that I just do not agree with.
Philip, we and Darren, basically we had the same conversation just after watching this about the idea that the professor definitely wasn't checking their pillows every night for money. So the Tooth Fairy must be real. And it would make sense. Santa's real. There's all sorts of crazy creatures.
There's a literal devil crab,
Yeah, why wouldn't the Tooth Fairy be real? But It's just weird that the episode, you would think that the episode would go into that. And you think that the comeuppance would come from the Tooth Fairy, not from the named bad guys who we don't actually see get the teeth knocked out of.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, hey, the Sandman's also in there too, so. But yeah, no, I really enjoy that whole sequence. And then I like how, Buttercup's kind of told, no, you can't do this. This is bad. And then she finds a way to justify herself working around it, being like, okay, well, I'm not obtaining my goal this way, but I'm beating up bad guys. So I'm totally justified because they're doing wrong things. So what's so bad if I profit on the side, And that's where it kind of just spirals and out of control.
Is there a trilogy of the girls do bad things episodes with this, a very special Blossom, and then some Bubbles episode? Trying to think if there's a Bubbles version of this.
I mean, it's not
he gets addicted to evil.
The closest you could really get, I mean, Bubbles does lose control in Bubble Vicious to the point where she literally beats the crap out of Talking Dog. And she
but Talking Dog had it coming. You can't say it.
Well, okay, true. But she also flies around the town. One guy steps on a blade of grass and she just punches the ever living crap out of him. And I mean, you can make that argument for Bubble Vicious. It's not quite on the same level as A Very Special Blossom or Moral Decay. It's definitely above that, but it's a similar thing with Bubbles going psycho crazy and impacting the citizens as a result.
I don't know. It was an okay episode. That's basically all I have. I can understand why someone wouldn't like it. But I kind of feel and maybe it might just be me, but everything within the first 3 seasons of the Powerpuff Girls is just so artistically interesting. The sound design, the visuals, even if an episode has flaws what's the one that people don't like? Town and Out, right?
Yep.
Even if there's some story things that people don't love, I just feel like the atmosphere of the show is enough to carry me.
Oh, absolutely.
Once that's gone in season 5, forget it. But you have to actually be good. But I feel like there's a lot of style behind this show that doesn't make every episode a golden amazing episode, but it at least makes me want to go back and watch it again.
Oh yeah. The soundtrack too. I mean, the whole music piece that was playing during Buttercup's montage of like fighting all the villains. I thought it was great. I mean,
Yeah.
it perfectly. It's a new track. I don't think. I mean, I could be wrong, but I don't think it had been in any other episode up to this moment. I'd have to go watch through and listen for it again.
Well,
But
I was joking with Shadow that they use so many evil stings on Buttercup. Like there's there's music cues that happen like after Mojo or Fuzzy or whoever does like something menacing right when we're about to cut back to the girls or something else, right? But in this episode, it's just Buttercup, like
yep.
dun dun dun.
Yeah. It's great. Yeah. James Venable. I shouted him out last week. I'm gonna do it again. He's a great composer for these shows. He does a great job.
You know who else worked on this episode?
Our boy Gendy.
Yeah, apparently Gendy. What did he do for this?
Supervising producer was his role. So I don't know what that means. Yeah, I mean, he might have been like, this looks good. Sure, I give
Just
it the
walked
okay.
by the studio and he's like, yeah, you know what? That's good.
Someone got him a coffee that day, and so he's like, yeah, put my name on this. I'll give you. Oh yeah, oh Gendy. But yeah. Let me think. I'm trying to think if there's anything else that I wanted to mention. I think I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure this is. No, never mind. I take that back. Scratch that.
Okay.
Yeah. Sorry, I was thinking out loud, but no, never mind. Disregard that point.
I think we can all agree though that this episode is not as educational as the reboot as a whole.
You take that back. Don't even say that as a joke. I am offended.
This episode taught me not to beat people up for money.
Well, that is a good lesson to take away.
For coins.
Yeah, the Sacagawea dollar.
What is it with this show and weird coins?
I don't know. Maybe dollar coins were a thing that were like gonna be the next big currency back then. I don't remember.
Maybe.
I was too young to care about money back then.
All right. So, I want to hold your money.
I want to hold your cash.
Yeah. All right, let's get to it.
Oh yeah, meet the Beatles.
So, Moral Decay is just like, it was just there. It was just in the right place at the right time because this half hour was nominated because of Meet the Beatles.
100%.
1,000,000%. So, on the surface level, this episode is about him, Fuzzy Lumpkins, Mojo Jojo, and Princess coming together to fight as like a supervillain team to beat the Powerpuff Girls and take over Townsville, which they do until Mojo is taken away by a love interest who ruins all of his plans, and then they break up. That's a way to describe this episode, but it's not really the correct way to describe this episode. This episode is a love letter to the Beatles. It is an exercise in putting in as many references to song lyrics and real life events and documentaries and album covers and just
characters.
Everything.
Yeah,
everything Beatlemania under the guise of them being a rock group because, Fuzzy has the rock.
Yeah, he does that rock thing. Yeah, this episode is so quotable. It's amazing, like the sheer level of detail. And there's videos. I think the wiki has like a whole thing on it, but people have documented like every single reference that's present here. There's just a boatload of different things, even the smallest little details. Not even in just the writing, but the appearance of certain characters, like Sergeant Pepper, who's the police chief when he's being interviewed at the stand. The actual documentary guy, I believe, has some tie to it in some way.
Yes.
The real life events, like you mentioned, like the billboard sequence with Mojo seeing that the Beatles have broken up, the Beatles have broken up, and obviously Yoko coming in and having an impact on what happened. Yeah, there's
just two different versions of the Beatles themselves in this episode. Too.
Yes.
I look. I've got to be careful about how I say this. I'm not like really into the Beatles. I have nothing at all against them. I'm not really like a big music scene guy myself. So I know of them. My parents like them. Um, but what I can say is that really, even if you don't know like three-quarters of these references, I feel like you're bound to get at least a few of them, and just I can just appreciate so much what they did with this episode.
Yeah.
Like even when I don't know what specifically it's referencing, just the way lines are said and the way things are posed and the way everything is, you know that it's a reference to something. You know that they sat there and meticulously came up with how can we shove as many references in as possible. And you know what? The craziest thing about it is that it works as an episode, Beatles stuff aside. The idea of the four of them coming together to form like a supervillain team is an idea that you feel like wow, they waited until the third season to do.
Yeah.
Like a big team up is like a very big staple of supervillains,
Hmm.
right? Um, so on a surface level, they didn't have to do any of the Beatles stuff, and this still would have been a fun episode. But the fact that it works on those two levels just makes it just really special.
Yeah, absolutely. This is a love letter through and through, and the sheer amount of hard work and dedication that they had to put in, like I can't even imagine how long it took them to just squeeze in as much, especially into an 11-minute episode of that. Like it's not like it's a super huge runtime or anything, but there's just like I would have no issue showing this to any Beatles fan, even if they have no context for like what the Powerpuff Girls is. I'm sure that they would still get a kick out of it because they would know so much about the
Mhm.
band that's being referenced.
Yeah,
Um,
Giffy Toon Co. says this is their all-time favorite PBG episode, although it could be their bias as an avid Beatles fan.
it's understandable. I mean, Craig cites it as one of his all-time favorites, so
Oh yeah.
rightfully
I mean, if
so.
yeah,
Yeah, I mean, even just like the visual references. There are so many references to their different album covers that show up at points. Um, it's just every little thing.
wasn't
I
there a villain team up literally a segment ago? Okay, if you want to count all of the villains coming together
that's
to just beat up Buttercup in the last uh minute of the episode at a villain team up, you
yeah.
can. You can, but I don't think that makes that episode a villain team up
You could
episode.
technically argue that Mojob from season 2 did it first because that's where Princess and Mojo team up, but that's also only two villains as opposed to
Right. This is a big
this
this
is
is
a
a
big
big
like
villain team
the
up.
the big four question
Yes.
mark because yeah,
Yeah.
but yeah, no, it's great. I think I love the way all the villains kind of like start out just hating each other at the beginning, just arguing over I'm gonna destroy the Powerpuff Girls. No, I am, whatever. And then they all do it together, and they're just kind of like, did that just happen? Did we just defeat them? And the screen cap that we have on screen right now is just basically sums it up. I mean, that's
Yes.
that exact
Yes.
moment. Uh,
Um Whitfield says, I remember as a kid not understanding why the professor was talking the way he was, but of course I do now. Yeah, I liked how the professor talks like
mhm.
he's like reciting a poem. Like obviously it's because he's saying lyrics.
Yeah.
He's trying to shoehorn these lyrics in. But just if you don't know that, and I didn't as a kid either, like it comes off as funny how stilted the way he talks is in this
Hmm.
episode. This was definitely one of those I do remember as a kid. I feel like the first time I watched it, I maybe understood that there was like a Beatle reference or two, right? Like I got, maybe one or two of the things. And then like the more I watched it and the more I secondhand found out about the Beatles, the more I'm like, holy, like
Yeah.
this episode is just it's next level. So much, and like the difference too is there are so many shows. As we know, there are many shows that parody like Star Wars, right? Where they'll just
Hmm.
shove a but that's literally parodying a movie, right? Referencing that movie in their movie parody is not like old or original or interesting.
Yeah. I mean,
But
even Powerpuff Girls did Star Wars.
yeah, making an episode that has nothing at all to do with the Beatles tonally. Like there's no real reason the Beatles need to be in any of this. But the fact that they did that and then they took references from so many different areas of just
It's
the
like the
Beatles, right?
entire culture of the Beatles. Like it's not
Yes.
just music, it's their history, it's their artwork, it's their appearances. Like it's just phenomenal. Like the real life events with Yoko coming in. It's
Oh
just
yeah.
it's just amazing. And just the ridiculously silly ways that Yoko comes up with these evil schemes that Mojo's just justifying. It's like I don't know the full extent of what happened in real life, but I'm sure that, you know, there's definitely parallels.
That's a reflection. There. Yeah, no, that's a reflection of the time that the Beatles just decided to rob banks.
Yeah, right.
You remember that period?
Yeah, I remember that time where the Beatles just got a bed and laid down in the middle of a four-way intersection and was like, yeah, we're just going to lay here for a while.
Well, that's an album cover, isn't it?
It is.
Them in the bed. Yeah.
But no, they did it in real life too. They literally took like an 8-hour day and they just laid in bed and they're like, hey, we're just going to stop traffic for the whole day.
Tunde said this episode's a little longer at 13 minutes. Is that true?
It might be.
According to the HBO Max runtime on the whole half hour, it's 25 minutes. So I would believe it.
Yeah,
I can look at that. Powerpuff is only 19 apparently.
Yeah, that is true. There is some fluctuation with Powerpuff Girls episodes on the runtime. It's not exact each time.
I would also not be surprised if Moral Decay was a little shorter. It did feel.
Yeah, I mean,
let's see, Moral Decay ends at about like 11:30, including the intro sequence too.
Yeah.
So yeah, that would probably make Moral Decay a little shorter, and then yeah, at 11:26 starts. So yeah, it's about like 14 minutes with the credits and everything. Credits.
Yeah. Okay. Which I think is well deserved.
Yeah. I didn't notice at all because the episode. The other thing about it too is that it just flies by. Like. It's very montagey, but it also still feels like there's substance to it.
Oh, absolutely. It flows so well. It flows so well. And it's also crazy because it's like this is one of those episodes where the girls are hardly in it. Like they're there to fail at the beginning, and then there's the scene with them and the professor. And otherwise they don't do much. And then the ending with them beating the villains, of course. But it's mostly a villains episode, and I tell you what, if there's one thing that the Powerpuff Girls always excels at, it's having great villain episodes.
Yeah, let's talk about, I don't think it's a Beatles reference. I think it's just a reference to good directing. The opening. How it's all of the villains basically monologuing to themselves, or their dad, about how, I can never win against the Powerpuff Girls. I can't do anything. It's, like, I just want to take over Townsville. But the way it's intercut, like it cuts back and forth with these really cool transitional shots. Just really well made. Love it.
Absolutely.
Maybe that was Gendy. Maybe he came in and was like, oh, you know what? I'm just going to design a really fancy opening for you. I know it's your Beatles episode, but they didn't have that. We're just going to make it look cool.
I'm working on the Samurai show. I need to use this as a test for that. I'm just going to test my cutting skills really quick. But it's well edited, absolutely. And oh my gosh, the ending reveal with Michelle. I love how they literally just brought in this. They're like, how can we reference this song? Let's just bring in a character named Judy. Hey, Jude. Yeah. It's just like this Judy girl. And how did the girls know her? No idea. But sure. Okay, let's just bring her in just so we can have this song reference. And oh man, just with Yoko turning into this actual like monkey. It's like, oh, Mojo's just perfect. It's such a good climactic moment. I love it.
And also, I just love the fact that like it's a natural conclusion because of how the Beatles broke up, right? But like in the context of the episode, the professor's basically like, "Hey, get Mojo Jojo a girlfriend and he'll leave the group," which is just like that's a big leap, Professor. But all right, why not? Why not? Oh man, I don't think I've seen another episode that is as referential in like in the same way that this one is. Like I said, there's there's the robot chicken in Star Wars that references obscure things within Star Wars, but like this is just like everything about an entire musical culture, and all done in such a way. Like, all interwoven into a normal story that's not at all about the Beatles.
Yeah.
Oh, 100%, I think it deserves to be nominated. I think this is one of the most original ideas we've seen on here.
This is one of the most iconic episodes of Powerpuff Girls, bar none. It's exceptional through and through. 100% agreement. Absolutely deserving of being nominated. It's just it's revolutionary, and like you said, I can't think of a single of the show that does a referential parody, homage, hybrid amalgamation,
Double
whatever you want to call
entendre.
it.
Just it's all
Yeah.
just a big double entendre, not a dirty one, but that's what it is. It's everything is double speak.
Hmm.
It's not like, like I don't even know how to like so much of this episode is just Beatles references, but still an episode. Still a coherent storyline.
Yep. Absolutely. It is phenomenal, and everyone should watch it. I mean, even if you aren't a Beatles fan, there's still something to get out of it. It's still enjoyable, and
Definitely.
even
Watch it with your dad.
yeah. And again, even people who probably haven't even seen an episode of Powerpuff Girls in their life, if they know Beatles, I'm sure they'll get a kick out of this. I'm sure they will.
Okay.
So, yeah, that's
right,
my thoughts on
next
that
up.
one. Last but not least, we have The Simpsons, as per usual, with the episode Homer.
All right, so this is from season 12 of The Simpsons. Homer finds out that he has a crayon lodged in his brain, and that's why he's stupid. He gets it removed, and then he's smart. But of course, having an intellect means that you're insufferable and obnoxious, and everyone hates you. So he then decides to get a crayon jammed into his brain again.
Yep. Got to keep that status quo, too. Don't forget that.
Yeah, there's so many cartoons that have this storyline. And I mean, to be fair, The Simpsons is probably before a lot of the other examples.
Mm-hmm.
Patrick Smartpants was not for another 10 years or whatever. No, not 10 years, a few years.
Yeah, probably
few
like
years.
six.
That's right.
Six-ish, probably. I don't know.
I don't know,
Four,
whatever.
whatever.
It's a few. Either way, yeah, so there's a lot of things about this episode that don't work. And I think a part of why this episode gets maybe a little bit of a pass from the Simpsons community is that, believe it or not, this is one of the better episodes from season 12. It's certainly
Really?
one of the it's certainly one of the more memorable ones.
Wow.
But one of the so I have like a big list of problems. I've been watching a lot of Simpsons this week, and just in general, I've been doing these chats on Twitter with Jim, and I've got other Simpsons. We've got the award show Audit every week. We got to watch the Simpsons. I've got another Simpsons thing that I'm in the works on. Been watching a lot of Simpsons, and yeah. So, do you mind if I just lay out why I don't think this episode works real quick?
Go for it.
Okay, so from the start, there are two Act 1 lead-ins. So The Simpsons very often starts off in a place, like at a convention or something that is kind of unrelated to everything else. And this one does as well. It starts off as an an animation convention thing. And I think the opening is fine. But then, before we actually get to the plot line of Homer becomes smart, we also have to go through him doing a bunch of lab testing, which is like another lead-in. And then by the time he finally gets the crayon removed and becomes smart, half the episode's like gone. So you don't even have a lot of time with Homer being intelligent. The episode teases at Homer and Lisa like bonding over being intelligent, but then just doesn't deliver on that at all. What else? Oh, the fact that this is I think Flowers for Algernon might be like the progenitor of this plot line of
That's
the
what
dumb
I was
character
gonna.
becomes smart.
I was gonna ask if that was
Yeah.
an intentional reference, because
I
that's the
believe
vibe
so.
I got.
I believe so. Here's the thing. The thing that bothers me about this instance compared to, like, I don't know, Patrick Smartpants or, like, anything else, Homer should naturally be smart. It's not like he takes some experimental drug that makes him smart. It is literally that he accidentally lobotomized himself as a child and then opts to do it again at the end of the episode. It feels unnatural because the natural state of things should be Homer without a crayon in his brain. Like, the status quo says that Homer has to be stupid, sure. But within, like, the reality of the show, it's horrifying that he wants to put a crayon back in his brain. Also, I hate what this episode tries to say about intelligence. The idea that
yeah.
somehow if you're intelligent, you don't, like, dumb movies, right? Or that you're a stupid person if you like lowest common
And
denomination,
everyone hates you.
denominated humor. Yeah, yeah, everyone hates you. You can't be happy. Look, the only thing that I kind of agree is that knowledge can be a burden. Knowing about ethics, knowing about horrible things going on in the world, knowing about, suffering and tragedy, knowing about a lot of things can lead to sadness. 100%.
Mm-hmm.
But not in the way this episode presents it. The idea that you'd like watching Adam Sandler movies or whatever, when you're stupid, and then you become smart and you're like, oh, what is this drivel? I know it wasn't Adam Sandler, but that's the modern day, reference or whatever. Like what some would consider lowest common. Like, look, I'm a TV critic. There's a lot of things that I consider dumb episodes or bad episodes, but I would never in a million years say that someone is stupid because they liked it.
Mm-hmm.
People have senses of humor and people have different tastes in things, and it has nothing to do with intelligence.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, that's what I got. There's a number of reasons why I think this episode is dumb. And I mean, also, above all else, really, the idea of an episode where Homer becomes smart is a good idea, and it's just so wasted. How'd you feel about this one?
I didn't like it either. I thought it was just a bunch of missed potential. I thought it was all over the place, especially in terms of the pacing and the build-up. Because I agree. I felt like it took way too long to get to what would be considered the main appeal of the episode.
Yeah.
Homer finally being smart. Yeah, I mean, when this episode started, because I didn't read the synopsis or anything. I had no idea what I was getting into. And it started with this animation convention. I was like, oh my gosh, is this going to be an episode where they do cool animation things and they're going to have different animated sequences? I mean, that's kind of what they did. They did the David and Goliath thing at the beginning. I think there were other references in the background and stuff. They did the whole mocap thing. I was like, this is going to be a really cool animation episode. I'm excited.
Well, the motion capture thing aged incredibly well too.
It did.
With VTubers. Homer was like, this is going to be big. And then he goes bankrupt. But in real life, that motion capture technology, maybe it'll take another 10 years, 20 years, but it's starting to become a big deal.
The Simpsons predicted the future again. Yeah. No,
they predicted it would crash and burn.
Yeah, well.
But yeah, sure.
Yeah.
That's the other thing. I didn't even mention it. So it's not even the story is animation convention, which is, again, it's a very typical Simpson lead-in. But then it goes to Homer buys stock in the motion capture suit and then is bad with stocks. And then it goes to they don't have money, so he has to go to experimental testing. And then finally they get to the crayon in his brain.
Uh-huh. Yeah. That was the other thing too, is there's that whole stock market sequence and with him needing to get money, and then he goes to this hospital and they do all the testing on him, and I'm just like, at that point I was like, where is this going? What is the actual goal of this episode here?
You would never guess it's the Homer becomes smart episode.
Yeah, for real.
The title doesn't give it away either. I have no idea what the title's supposed to mean. I don't know.
Yeah.
A math equation? I don't know.
I was going to ask you what the reference is supposed to be, but I guess if you don't know either, I'm sure someone in chat might be able to tell us.
E equals MC squared, and since MC squared isn't in this episode, neither can E.
Oh, yeah. You know what? You're right. Why didn't I think of that?
Kirby Over Yonder has a great point that Homer's stupidity is very obnoxious and overbearing and awful and does ostracize him sometimes. So I just...
Yeah,
and the other thing too, I also accept the pretentiousness better in Patrick Smartpants because SpongeBob is a very cartoony show. You just kind of accept that Patrick's gonna be really Patrick's obnoxious as an idiot, and then Patrick's really obnoxious as a smart person.
Mm-hmm.
Patrick Smartpants is a better episode than this, 100%.
I have not seen that one in a long time. I also remember not liking it, but I need to see it again for me to agree with that.
Yeah. Oh, hey, Jim.
Oh, hey.
It's a reference to the film Charlie, which was based on the short story Flowers for Algernon.
So there is a Flowers for Algernon parallel. That's what I thought, because that's the total vibe I got from this.
Just watch the Always Sunny episode. The Always Sunny episode that parodies Flowers for Algernon is also a lot funnier than this.
Noted. I've been meaning to watch that show, so...
Yeah. I don't really know what else to say. It was, someone pointed out in the chat, it is kind of interesting to hear someone call it Japanimation.
Oh,
Um,
true. uh,
yeah. Also, I mean, this is just personal pet peeve, but like, why did Mo do Dr. Nick's job at the end of the episode? What was up with that? Why did Mo come in and do that? That's clearly a Dr. Nick job. Maybe you don't know, Shadow, but
yeah,
Dr.
I
Nick
don't
is
know.
the quack doctor, based on one of the creators of Rugrats. But
Oh.
yeah, because Klasky Csupo worked on like early Simpsons. He's
Mhm.
based on Garber Klasky or Chupo. I don't remember which one of them he is, but that's that accent and everything. You know, he kind of sounds like Gendy, to be honest. But
Yeah, a little
but
bit.
anyway, yeah, I don't know. But yeah, kind of. I was kind of horrified by the ending, to be honest with you. It's freaky. I don't like that. Gabar Chupo. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, because Klasky's his then wife. That's why they were Klasky Chupo.
Hmm. Makes
It would be
sense.
too unethical for Dr. Nick. Well, I think this was in a Dr. Nick recession, where he wasn't appearing as much. But yeah, I don't know. I like the David and Goliath parody, the stop motion. I thought that was
Yeah.
pretty well done. The motion cap stuff like was funny enough.
Yeah, I think my biggest thing was like I felt bait and switched really, just with how the whole thing started out. And I know you've mentioned this before because I guess a lot of modern Simpsons seasons do the same thing where there's something completely unrelated in the beginning. But like,
Oh, it's not even modern Simpsons. It's just all Simpsons.
okay,
All Simpsons.
well,
Most episodes have an Act 1 lead-in, as I call it. I don't know if that's the actual
yeah.
term.
I don't know. I really felt burned on this one in particular. Obviously, being a fan of animation, because I was really getting hopeful that they'd have like really cool animated sequences, and it was like just a tease, and I was like, oh, that's lame. So I
Yeah.
don't know. I didn't really like this episode.
All right. So that's that then.
Yeah.
I'm just
Yeah.
gonna transition right into our nominees, what we would have picked this year.
Okay.
Um, going right off this, and thank you, Jim, for reminding me of this earlier today. I'm actually gonna pick a different Simpsons episode from season 12.
Oh.
Yep, Trilogy of Error, which is their Run Lola Run-esque episode where it shows basically three different stories from Simpsons characters from their own perspectives that all interact with each other. It's like the same day told from three different perspectives. It's an ambitious idea, and I think they execute it pretty well.
Nice.
I don't know. I don't understand why Homar got nominated, but whatever. That's
Yeah.
life.
That's life.
But I thought I'd throw that a bone because I do think that that's a pretty good one. Shadow, it's actually not too different from the seemingly never-ending story.
Okay.
The other episode that
Mhm.
actually won when they nominated it. So yeah.
All right. Nice.
What would you nominate?
All right. So, similar to what you just did, I'm going to nominate an episode of a show that was already nominated this year, but a different episode or pairing of episodes. This is the year
Oh no. Oh
where
no.
I am
Powerpuff
picking
Girls?
Powerpuff Girls
No.
as my nomination. And you know
Oh,
what?
because
You know
yeah,
what?
Okay. All right, I get it. Yep.
Listen, Meet the Beatles, fantastic episode. But if I had to pick a definitive pairing of episodes worthy of a nomination, it's Jewel of the Isle and Super Zeros. I mean, come on.
Okay.
Come on. That is... Hang on one second. All right. We're reconnected, so hopefully the stream is fine. As I was saying, when it comes to definitive pairings of Powerpuff Girls, I can think of no better pairing than Jewel of the Isle and Super Zeros. These are two of the most, again, just like Meet the Beatles, maybe not as super referential and, well written and versed in culture, but Jewel of the Isle is like one of the best comedic episodes of Powerpuff Girls that exists. Okay? Just the sheer simple concept of a crook trying to get a jewel out of a cereal box that the girls have. And it just hilarity ensues. There are so many gags, whether it's him getting run over by the lawnmower or him landing a helicopter on the roof, falling off and getting a second helicopter. It's fantastic. There's this whole there are these two animated sequences in the same episode where it completely changes animation styles. Admittedly, the one with the 3D CG robot things hasn't aged well, but for the time, that was pretty cool. And it was the
Cereal
show.
commercial.
Yeah,
Cereal
I was
looks
just
great.
getting to that.
Yeah.
The cereal commercial
Excuse me.
is the perfect like parody animation of, something like Trick cereal. You totally 90s, great art style. It perfectly replicates it. I think that was fantastic. On the other hand of things, you have Super Zeros. Super Zeros is a great meta commentary on superhero comics genre, if you want to call it that. Again, way before superheroes became the big thing that they are today. It's great how each of the girls find these superheroes that they, kind of relate to and can bounce off of. They have great personalities, but it also showcases the sheer ridiculousness of how silly some of them can be when they're put into these different scenarios where the girls using their normal powers without the fancy get up and pizzazz and stuff like that could just wipe this monster out in a heartbeat. The big climactic ending with the monster just be like, okay, girls, you know what? Here, I'm just going to set you straight. We get some backstory with Monster Island. Like, I just think, like, Moral Decay, I like the episode. And Meet the Beatles is great. But, like, for 22 minutes, like the full half hour, I think that this pairing is absolutely worthy of the nomination.
Okay.
So that's my pick.
Thank you for the super chat, Toonjay, who nominates Andy and Kevin Make a Friend from Mission Hill and the 4th episode of Clerks, the animated series. Both episodes have George Lucas, apparently.
Ooh, now I gotta watch it.
Go ahead. You know what? I will go ahead and disagree with you, Shadow. I'm not saying that pairing of Powerpuff Girls episode isn't like funnier or better or whatever, but I think in terms of being worthy of a nomination, Meet the Beatles is that's the one. It's too different and interesting to not be nominated. That's how I feel. It's okay. You can disagree. That's completely fine. But I just think it's so special. Not just good, but good and interesting.
That's fine. I'm going off the logic of a full 22-minute thing, whereas, like, I agree that one's fantastic, but I don't think Moral Decay holds up that end. But, yeah.
Okay.
That's fine. Agree to disagree.
We can disagree. All right.
But yeah.
So next up, we're going to do our ranking.
All right. Do you want to go first or should I?
I'll go first.
Okay.
I feel like I usually let you go first. So at the bottom, I'm gonna put. Oh dear. Matt Groening shows you really didn't do a good job this week. I don't know whether to put Futurama or The Simpsons. I think honestly I'm gonna put Futurama at the dead bottom. Yeah, not a fan of some of the ideas put forth, and even just aside from that, it's just kind of a lame story. I gotta say. Homar is 4th. I at least like the animation stuff at the beginning. There, there's a few good things in there. But otherwise, I wasn't like super thrilled with that one. At number 3, I'm gonna put Chasing Bobby. Just a solid, funny King of the Hill episode. Not too much to look into there, but good and solid. At number 2, I'm gonna put Hello Stranger from As Told by Ginger. This would be higher if the subplot or if the B plot was better with Carl and her mom. I still think it's very ambitious that they did this kind of story, and I think that they landed the main story pretty dang well without it being too depressing or too unrealistically optimistic. And then at number 1, I'm just gonna put the Powerpuff Girls because, like I mentioned, I think Meet the Beatles does something very special, very different, and I think just in general the Powerpuff Girls is good, but Meet the Beatles is like. It's just a really, really special episode. It's unlike anything else, really, in the way that it does its references.
Yeah, I have the exact same ranking, honestly. I thought the Futurama episode was the worst one by far. I didn't like any of the tropes or the story or any of the characters in it at all whatsoever. I thought Homer was just a massive disappointment, and I didn't really like the pacing or how it built up. I agree, King of the Hill in the middle. It was a good episode. It didn't really... There's nothing, like, mind-blowing amazing, but it was funny. I laughed. I enjoyed it. As Told by Ginger, it had guts. It went out there. It did not hold back on the main plot line, and I absolutely respect it for that. Also agree that Carl's plot, I had no interest in that. And yeah, I'd give it to Powerpuff Girls. I think Meet the Beatles itself definitely earns the award. And Moral Decay, I'll fight for that episode, but I know it's not everyone's cup of tea. So yeah,
I will say Meet the Beatles is not my favorite episode of the Powerpuff Girls. I feel like it would maybe make towards the end of my top 10, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
But I just, I award on a mixture of things I really like plus things that I feel are different and transformative and really pushes the boundary of what a half-hour animated comedy is. So, yeah. Okay. Shadow, what was the Emmy winner?
Oh boy, do you really want to know?
Oh no.
I'll tell you one thing. The Emmy voters were not Beatles fans.
Were they in the mood?
No, they were not in the mood, and they certainly weren't chasing anybody. And I guess they're not fans of strangers either, because the winner was Homer.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, disgusting.
Yeah, absolute disagree.
Come on.
There were 3 episodes that were far more deserving of it than this.
Homer it's far from the worst thing we've talked about on this show. There's definitely worse things. You guys when we rank them, you'll see. We'll see where Homer ends up. But like, of all the stuff on here, come on, like, if you were just to describe me to say it's an episode of The Simpsons where Homer becomes smart, and I didn't watch the episode, I would probably be like, yeah, that sounds real good. I want to watch that. Like, I'd put that high up on my list. Just in terms of how I could imagine them doing that. But the actual execution is just not good.
No.
It's just a real letdown of just missed potential mixed with just baffling story decisions. They all had crayons up their nose.
Yeah, they did.
Voters. All right.
Yeah.
Well, let's see how you guys voted.
Alrighty.
Oh, just a reminder, get your votes in the next 2 seconds.
Yeah, you got right now. Do it.
Yep. Link in the description.
They'll probably hear it. They'll probably hear it because of the delay by the time you're already reading the results. Here, I'll stall him for 30 seconds. Hey, Pi, do we have a special guest this week?
No.
Why don't you go check? I'll wait.
Anyone back here? Hello? Yeah, no one's there.
Oh, okay. Well, I think that's enough time. All right. If they didn't vote by now, that's their own fault.
Okay. All right. Vote or die.
Yeah.
Okay. Here we go. Out of 315 votes, in dead last with 10% is As Told by Ginger, Hello Stranger.
Boo.
And I 100% believe that that's just people haven't seen that episode or the show.
Yep.
Fair enough. In second to last, at 14%, this was close, is Homer, The Simpsons. Good, I'm glad. Eating it out by 1%, 15%, is King of the Hill Chasing Bobby. Eating that out by 1% at 16%, it's Futurama, Amazon Women in the Mood. And at number 1 with a whopping 45% of the votes, it is the Powerpuff Girls, Moral Decay, and Meet the Beatles. Yeah.
You did it, guys. You got it right. You got it right this week.
Yep.
As if there is a correct answer. But
refreshing it now, things have changed, but I'm not even going to read it because you guys didn't get in your votes in time.
Yeah, that's true.
Things were very close, so I wouldn't be surprised if you come back to this poll in a few days or whatever. Things might have changed.
Yeah. Yeah, it definitely sounds interesting, especially between like 2, 3, and 4. So I probably will check it in like a week and just see if things move around.
Yeah. Well, maybe when we do our big ranking at the very end, maybe we can incorporate the poll winners.
Yeah, we could do something like that.
Yeah. All right, Mr. Streak, what do we got next week?
All right, so next week, like we mentioned at the beginning of the show, we are going to be talking about both the 2001 hour-long nominee, because there was only one, as well as the 2000 hour-long nominees. So it's kind of a transition show. So for 2001 in particular, we had Allosaurus, a Walking with Dinosaurs special. This screen cap is another title, another name for the episode. Well,
The Ballad of
the
Big
first,
Al.
yeah, it's 2 episodes. It's not 6 like what we had to deal with last week. It's just 2, so much more manageable. It was the only nominee, so of course it won. And then in the year 2000, we had the original Walking with Dinosaurs. So we finally get to see what spawned this entire franchise of dinosaur CG documentaries.
All I know is people like this. People
Apparently.
really like this.
Apparently.
Also, additionally on the Wikipedia page, it mentions that it's horribly inaccurate now. So.
Oh, okay, awesome. Well, just to let the viewers know, I may be jaded on all of these, but I do intend to go into this one with an open mind because it's the first. And I just want to see, just clear and slate, how does this actually stack up? So I'm putting aside my biases for it, but after this, I am done. I am done.
Yeah, and we got a very nice comment from someone who is a fan of these, and I just making it clear, we are just not the target demographic for this, and it's mostly just the ludicrous nature of including them in categories with narrative-based, cartoons, right? Including these things that are only somewhat CGI. It's just ludicrous. We'll get into it more next week, but if you like this stuff, there's absolutely no hate or shame on you guys. Like, it's not, we pointed out some of these documentaries that we think are like just objectively bad, like the stupid Alien Earths. I think it's just flat out bad no matter what. But yeah, just pointing that out. We'll get into it next week. What else we got?
And aside from those 2, we also have the Matt Groening adaptation of a children's storybook, Olive the Other Reindeer. Oh yeah, the one that aired on Cartoon Network a bunch back in the early 2000s.
Didn't it air on Nickelodeon?
It might have, but I remember seeing it on Cartoon Network. It might have flip-flopped. But
maybe you're from the Bernstein Bears universe.
Oh, of course. Yeah.
Let's see. Oh, well, I guess we're both wrong. It first aired on Fox.
Oh, well, yeah, it first aired on Fox, but I'm pretty sure in reruns it might have flip-flopped between both channels, depending on who had the rights for each year.
It made its first cable TV premiere on Nickelodeon on December 15, 2001, and then would premiere the following year on Cartoon Network in 2002.
Yeah.
Until 2012, every year. And then it also aired on My Network TV, the CW, and WGN TV. Bizarre.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I did a full-length video breaking down the production of this and the history, the inspiration, all of it. 4 years ago. It was 2017. It was my Christmas video for 2017. I went super in depth. It's like a half-hour thing, but I basically break down the production. It's by DNA Productions, who would then go on to do Jimmy Neutron after this. Yeah. It's interesting. They did a whole documentary on the making of and everything. It's a good watch. I recommend it. It's fun.
Wait a minute. Ed Asner voices Santa?
Yeah. You know who voices the postman?
Ooh.
Dan Castellaneta.
Wow.
Yeah. You'll hear it when we watch it, but
you know who voices Arturo, the elf that Schnitzel threw Olive into? Matt Groening.
Yeah. And Joe Pantoliano's the Penguin. And Drew Barrymore is Olive. So.
Oh, but I point that out because Ed Asner's been Santa in other things.
Sure. He's a big time Santa actor. He's played Santa in so many stuff.
Let's see, on the Ellen Show, on the regular show Christmas special. Okay, that's what I thought. In Elf Buddy's Musical Christmas, in A Storybots Christmas, in Elf the movie. Yep. And in Santa Stole Our Dog, A Merry Doggone Christmas.
His most iconic role.
In the story of Santa Claus. It sounds like that sounds more interesting than all of the other reindeer. Or maybe like a sequel. Santa Stole My Dog. Oh man. Well, I certainly can't wait.
that's all of the other reindeer from the owner's perspective.
I don't think Olive had an owner.
No, she does.
Oh.
He is in this movie.
Then yeah, so Santa stole her.
Yeah.
Oh god.
Yeah, I cannot wait to watch this again. I love this movie. It's not a masterpiece, but I love it. It's charming.
Okay. Well, somehow I feel like it might beat out the other two nominees in our opinion.
It's definitely
the
unique.
other one.
It's
that
definitely a
against.
unique take on 3D animation because believe it or not, this is 3D.
Really, it looks very Blue's Clues.
There's definitely some parallels you could probably draw with that.
And much like Samurai Jack, there's no outline.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, dude, it was revolutionary. It was ahead of the time.
Oh man. Just like all of the other Matt Groening projects, I hope Olive ends up in heck and has to have their friends come and help them.
Oh my gosh. Well, we will find out next week.
Hey man, I don't see any overbite. How do I know this is a Matt Groening production?
Okay, in the defense of this is the actual storybook's art style. So yes, how Olive looks in this is based on the storybook, the original book.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
I know more about this movie than most people probably ever will.
Bizarre.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, either way, next week we end the documentaries.
Finally.
Never ever again will we talk about documentaries on this award show. If we do another category that has them,
we're skipping it. We're not doing it.
We're not doing it.
Never doing this ever.
Unless it's like a mockumentary that's like a story, like, but no nature documentaries. Period.
Yeah, no, it's never happening. Yeah. I've had enough.
All right. I got rules out.
Yep. See you guys next week.